can do? You will ask, what will you do when they find me? Don't be scared of yourself.
Hi, I'm Dawn.
And I'm Ashley.
We would like to welcome you to the Work It, You Are Worth It podcast.
Where two friends sit around and talk about healing, growth, and healthy relationships.
Hey, Ashley.
Hey, Dawn. How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
I'm great.
Good. How was your week?
It was good. Went to Myrtle Beach over the weekend. It was Easter this weekend, and I got to see family from New York and family all over the place that I hadn't seen in a while. It was really nice.
Aw, that's good. I saw the pictures on Facebook, and there was a lot of people there.
Yes. Yeah, and that was just a very small portion of that side of the family. My father has 6 siblings.
Oh, wow.
And each of them, on average, have 3 kids.
Okay, then.
Yes. Yeah, I believe there's 21 cousins. Wow. And we're like brothers and sisters. My kids call a lot of my cousins aunt and uncle.
Oh, that's cool. I'm always a little jealous of people that have big families, because for me, it's my mom, my sister, or my mom and my dad here, and then my sister lives in Indiana. I've seen her once in the last 2 years. My 2 stepsisters, one lives in Indiana, one lives in California, and then my boys. And so really any holiday is just my mom and my dad and Colin and I and Dylan, and now Dylan's not here, so
yeah.
It's just always different. I knew when my grandparents passed that side of the family would just kind of fall to the wayside, but
right.
I don't know. It would be nice to have a big family, but I don't, so I'm not going to dwell on that. But my girlfriends, we were talking about like doing Friendsgiving and friend holidays and getting together, and so I'm actually excited about that and kind of making whoever comes, and
that'd be awesome. We used to do that with some friends of mine.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Holidays are not just about family. It's right. It doesn't have to be just about family. It can be, we talk about this, family is the people you choose to have in your life that show up every day, and it's definitely not.
Absolutely.
Not the end all be all when it comes to people and family, so.
Yeah, blood doesn't decide much.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
And yeah, as big as my family is, we're all, at this point, we all grew up in a small town, and our last name was real known, and a lot of my cousins are still there, but a lot of us at this point, we've all spread out, and we were talking even just this weekend, like, we need to start making a once a year cousins gathering or something, because we just don't see each other enough. I think that's life.
It is. I think more in this day and age, people just, we just spread out, and it doesn't, it's hard for me. A lot of my extended family will come here, and they'll be an hour away from me, because, right, I'm an hour from Orlando. I'm an hour from Disney World, and I'll never know they were here. And
it's hard.
It is. And it used to bother me when I first moved here, and it really bothered my mom when she first moved here, that people would come and be 30 minutes, an hour away, and not try to see them. At the same time, these people are trying to have their vacation, trying to live their lives.
Right. I've thought about that too, right? A lot of it is, like, I want to go home. So home for me is Western New York, and my brother's there, my sister's there, my stepdad, my mom, my nephew, my niece. Like, pretty much a lot of my cousins, everyone's there pretty much. And, like, I want to go home and see my family, and I want to take a vacation and see the world. This year, Nick and I are going on a cruise, but that means I don't get to go home and see my nephew. That means because I have to choose my vacations. Do I go spend time with my family, or do I have a vacation and enjoy myself and go do something new that I've never done before? It makes it very difficult. That changed, going from being a kid and brothers and sisters and cousins all around because our parents were around, and then we grow up and everybody moves, and we have to adjust to that. It takes a period of adjustment, for sure.
It does. I know growing up, my grandparents' house we lived with them for a while. That was my go-to place. My cousins and I were always together. We were very much like siblings and close. And then when we moved, when I was 5 or 6 years old, then we would see them a little less frequently. And then obviously you get to be a teenager, and the last thing you want to do is hang out with your parents and family. I wanted to go do...
Absolutely.
And so I think it's just this natural progression of things things change and things start to look different as we get older. And like you said, it's how we navigate through that.
I think that's a huge part of life is learning to adjust to change, right? I mean, as I think about phases that I've already lived and the phases that I'm going to live, the one common thing among them is change.
Which, if everyone hasn't figured out, our topic tonight is adjusting to change. Just kind of naturally went there. And this topic did come from a listener, so thank you to the listener who suggested this topic, and we look forward to talking about it.
I think the key, or one of, I can't say the key, because in life there's so many tools that we need to use, but I think one of the tools for adjusting to change is acceptance, right? I mean, if I cannot accept that things are changing, right? If I hang on too tightly and I don't let go and allow things to just happen as they are supposed to, I fight that change. I don't accept it. And I mean, I can't stop it from happening. Change is going to happen no matter what. Like, I don't care what situation I look at. Change is going to happen no matter how hard I fight, no matter how hard I hold on. Things are going to change. And the only thing literally the only choice I have is to accept that.
And that is easier said than done. The one thing I hear in what you're saying is it comes down to control. I'm trying to control change happening.
Oh my goodness. How does it come back to this? How does it come back to this? I'm sorry. I have to do it. I wasn't going to do it, but clearly HP is telling me I have to. There is a change possibly on the horizon in my life, and I am having a hard time accepting that change. No matter how hard I fight. It's my own words are ringing very loudly in my head right now. No matter how hard I fight to prevent something from happening, no matter how hard I hold on, no matter how hard I pray, no matter, like, it doesn't matter what I do. I literally have no control over any change, because I'm powerless.
So let me ask a question. The change you're talking about, is it change in you or is it change with someone else?
Well, it's a change that it's someone else changing and it affecting me.
Okay. So it's not directly you changing yourself for a reason.
Correct. It is something I have no control over.
So it's a change in someone else, because we don't have control over anyone else's actions, feelings, behaviors, words. What else can we?
Right. I mean, like, we can use Destiny for a great example, because she made a change last year about this time that I fought tooth and nail, right? Last year at this time, she decided that she was not going to college after her first semester. She was not going back. And I disagreed with that change. It is her life. She is an adult. Let me be very clear. This is a year ago, and this is a very different time now. But it worked. It's a great example for this, right? So she decided she was not going back to college. And here I was, right? I'm your mom. You're barely 19. You don't know what's best for you. I need you to go back. You need to go back. You need to at least complete a year. If you want to transfer, you can transfer. But you can't just quit, blah, blah, blah. And we all know that at 19, mom has no say.
We'd like to think we do, but we have none.
Yeah, yes. And I tried to have a say. Believe me, I held on, I fought, I yelled, I cried, I begged, I reasoned, I lectured, I tried everything. I bribed, I tried everything. And Destiny still, like she has always and will always, thank God, still did what she felt was best for her, no matter what I had to say about it. And I had no choice but to accept that. But I'll tell you, had I accepted it a lot sooner and not fought so hard for so long, there would have been a heck of a lot less stress.
Yeah.
I really do think acceptance is a major player when it comes to the tool of dealing with change.
Change is going to happen no matter what we do. It just is, it's life. Things change, situations change, and things can change within a minute 3-4 times. And one of the things, for me, what I had to accept was just things are going to change. And quit telling myself a story about, because like what I would do is I would take a situation and I would hash it 50 different ways. I made sure that no matter what scenario played out in the change, I had thought about and considered every possible situation. Do you know
how exactly what was going to happen next?
Yes. Do you know how often I was right?
Well, yeah, because you spent so long planning out every possible scenario. How could you possibly be wrong?
I was always wrong.
I did it too.
But I was always wrong. I was wrong 100% of the time. Because I never failed that no matter what I played out in my head, something was different. Maybe I figured out, because there's only two possible, at the end of the day, right and left, or, true or false, or whatever. Maybe the end result was, maybe only had a couple of options. But I would tell the story from the minute I found, for every single detail through the whole entire process till I got to that decision. And the story in between point A and point B, never got that right.
See, I never worried about the details. I was always the if A, then B. If A, then B. If A, then B. If B, then C. If D, then E. And it was always, like, there was a very concrete right and wrong, and I always knew what was going to come next. But the only reason I always knew what was going to come next, and I was usually right, but how can you be wrong when you have an option of one of any 1,000 things that could possibly happen, right? Like, I would lay awake all night long, and if I say this, then they will say this, and if they do this, then I will say this, and then they will say this, this, or this, and if they say this, this, or this, then they will say this, this, and this, and then they will do this. Like, and I would plan this whole entire thing out, but then I would go to do it, and like you said, you would plan out all the little details. One of those details would be wrong, and it would be messed up, and then it would still get to the same end result, but everything about the intention was different because of that one little detail.
Yeah, and that's
so even though I was right, I was still wrong.
Right, and that's what I actually meant about the details, was the story, like playing out what everybody else would be doing, and I would say, and they would say, and I would say, and I would say, and they would say, and then we do this, and we do that, and to get to this one result. And yet, right, it was, I might be right about the end result. This is going to happen, but it never went in the path that I thought it would go.
Right. Yes, maybe this does still happen, but this is happening because of a completely different intention and with a completely different meaning than what I had already assigned to it. And I think accepting what is, I think that helps with adjusting to change, for sure. Accepting what actually is, not what I think it is, what I want it to be, what it might be, but what it actually is right now, accepting that. And I think being flexible is a big thing too.
I think when you let go of control, you have no choice but to automatically be flexible.
I agree with that. I never thought about it like that before.
It's easier to be flexible and to go with the flow when you're not trying to control. And when I let go of control, and I guess let's take a minute to give some examples of what control can look like. So
Control can look like so many things.
oh my gosh, I know. I will look at my children. Yelling, bribing.
So it could be so many different behaviors that
Oh, yeah.
really, for me, it comes down to the intention behind the behavior, right? Like, so I want to tell so-and-so how I feel. Okay, well, why do I want to tell them how I feel? Because I don't want them to do that again because they know it hurts my feelings. That's control.
So passive-aggressive behaviors. Anytime
I am angry, I am being controlling.
Agreed.
For me, anytime I get angry, it's because I don't like what someone else is doing, or I don't like how I feel about what someone else is doing, and I want them to stop.
Yep.
Or do it differently, or whatever. Anytime I am angry, I am being controlling.
And how do you know when you're feeling that way? It takes me a second sometimes to actually realize I'm angry. It's more of a feeling in my body because I used to just get angry, yell and scream, and then like realize what are you doing, Dawn? You're acting like a fool. What are you doing? Now, when I get angry, I know I'm in tune to my body, so I can feel being angry before I consciously know I'm angry.
I was going to say that makes sense because, right, what I was going to say is I don't usually get angry anymore because I catch myself before I get to the point of being angry.
Same.
So yes, right. So I feel it. I recognize it. So for me, like my heart rate speeds up. And I get a bubble in my throat.
Okay.
Sometimes I get like pressure behind my eyes, almost like I'm getting ready to cry, but I'm not going to actually cry.
Mm-hmm. For me,
I'm shaky. My hands shake.
Oh, yeah. For me, I can feel like it's something crawling up the middle of my back, up into my shoulders, and into the back of my neck, into my head, around the top of my head, and then it plants the tension runs from the middle of my back all the way up my neck, all the way up to the front of my head, and it lands right behind my, like in the, like kind of where your sinuses would be on your forehead, right above the, like your bridge of your nose, and
yes,
that pressure. It's that
like
tension.
You can actually feel the energy go up your back.
Yes, I can.
Interesting.
I am that in tune to my body now.
And it's interesting to hear because, right, you talk about it going up the back of your neck, and the way I describe it, it starts in my chest and it goes up into my throat, and then I can feel the pressure behind my eyes. It's still going up, and it's still ending in the same place. That's very interesting, as what you were saying.
But
it's just going up the opposite side of my body.
Right. But here's one of the things I was told by a therapist. When we feel in our body, like in our core, that's a feeling. When it gets to our head, it's a thought. And so that's what, for me, what I realized. When I feel it in my body and my back crawling up, it's really the anger working its way up to my brain.
Oh, yeah, I never tied that in. And I've said the feeling versus the thought before, and it being in your core versus it being in your head, right? I've said all that before, but I never tied in it moving up. And then, too, let's add to that, I heard a professional, I don't remember who, an expert in it once, I don't remember. Anyways, they said feelings only last 3 to 5 seconds. It's the thoughts that last a long time.
And it's true, because I think about it crawling up my back. That happens quickly.
Yes.
So that makes sense.
Wow. Interesting.
So the other night I was driving, I was headed out to dinner, and it was Friday night. I had told my manager and my coworker I had to be out by 5. I had planned a meetup event, so I obviously wanted to be there early. And my manager actually waited to review something until 4:30. So I had 2 deliverables, actually 3 deliverables. gave one of them to her at like 1. The other one I gave her, it was like 4. I know how long it takes her to review it. It takes her just a couple of minutes. I'm confident in my work in that, so I wasn't really worried about her coming back with anything. 4:45 comes around. Nothing had really been, I hadn't heard anything. I just sent a reminder, like just, I have to log off by 5. I just, you should have everything. Just kind of a little reminder. And these are deliverables they have to be done because it's, there's
right.
A sign off at another level that has to happen so these are required for that. And so she jumps on it, or she got on it then, like I said, 4:45. Of course, I went. I stepped away. I was getting my dressed and putting my makeup on. And I come back, and it was 5:05. So 20 minutes it took her to review all 3 of these items. And she comes back with a comment. And I'm like, ugh. Got the comment around, walked out the door at 25 after 5. Okay? I was resentful. I was angry. Because I made sure I logged on early. I made sure that I worked, diligently to get this done so I could comfortably leave. So I was hanging on to this anger and resentment. And of course, it did the whole crawl on my back into my head. And I left the house. And I'm driving there. I was probably a block from the restaurant. Mind you, it was 5:50, so I was 10 minutes early.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? That's the funny part about this whole thing. And I was angry and mad. And I noticed while I was driving, I'm like, Dawn, what is the matter with you? Like, I was hanging on to the steering wheel really tight. I was so mad.
Pissed. You were pissed.
I was pissed.
Like, how dare she keep me here 20 minutes longer when I made sure to get her all of that stuff?
Yeah. And I was like, whoa, wait, what are you doing, Dawn? What are you doing? What are you carrying this? Like, so here I am at the stoplight, carrying on a conversation with myself, which is completely okay.
Like out loud, talking to yourself.
Like, yep, out loud, like I was talking to myself. And I talked myself down. And what are you mad about? You're still going to be 10 minutes early. It played no factor on anything that happened. Nothing. But I was bound and determined to get pissed off and hang on to that anger. But as soon as I talked myself, I actually had a conversation with myself. Talked myself right off. I was calm. I went. I got there. Got out of the car. I was the second one there.
I think that examining our thoughts is a key to succeeding in adjusting to change.
Yes.
And that's what you were just talking about, right? How many times would we have continued on? I know I would have continued on to that meetup and that dinner and just vented for 25 or 30 minutes about my rude ass thoughts, right? In reality, it wasn't personal. She probably thought, oh crap, Dawn's got to go. Let me hurry up and get this to her. I didn't realize the time. Right? It had nothing to do with you. She was probably wrapped up in her own stuff.
Yeah.
And didn't think twice about you. But you took it personal. Mm-hmm. You examined your thoughts and were very quickly able to let it go. It's like a stoplight quickly.
Yes.
I really think that's a key to being successful. I found that the more I examine my thoughts, the less likely I am to just go with some insane thought. And I used to all the time. And
you know what was funny about this situation? After the night was over, so when another person got there, and they actually were really short with somebody, one of the other girls. She had just come from work, been busy, crazy day for her, and after we were done with dinner, she asked if I had a minute to talk. I actually ended up using that story as an example for her to how to let go.
Talk about higher power moment, huh?
Yeah. And she's like, wow, I was able to diffuse the whole situation during dinner because, right, I'm not, I just don't engage in that anymore. Like, I'm not going to engage in the drama of the childhood. I'm like, look, you guys are being ridiculous. We're here to enjoy dinner. Let's stop. We're going to take, if you want to have a conversation one-on-one outside of this, that's fine. I don't want to be part of this. And
all right, let's just table this and move on to something else.
Exactly. And she thanked me, and then using this as an example of, right, you got to, paying attention to what your day was, knowing your body, knowing where you were at, taking that extra 5 minutes instead of rushing into the restaurant because you're late. Just take that extra 5 minutes and sit in your car, because that 5 minutes wouldn't have even mattered, but a situation could have probably not happened by just taking those 5 minutes to diffuse.
I hear you saying that awareness is another amazing tool.
Probably the best one there is. Because how do I do better if I'm not aware of what's going on in me?
Right. How do I adjust to a change if I'm not aware of what I'm feeling about the change? If I'm not aware of what I'm thinking?
You mentioned something earlier. You said about laying awake at night, obsessing.
Yeah.
That was last night for me. I have not laid in bed. I honestly can't tell you the last time. It's been over a year. It's probably been close to 2 years. Last night, I'm laying in bed, and all of a sudden, I started thinking about my last relationship and things that happened in there. And then that took me into another relationship, and that took me into another relationship, and it just kept building and just kept building and just kept building. And then it took me in down this other path, another situation of, whoa, Dawn. HP, what are you doing here? I know you're teaching me something. I know you are teaching. There's something I have to learn. And maybe it was just additional awareness. I had to stop myself, and I actually said, I'm supposed to learn in this moment. I can't learn it right now. I need to focus on going to sleep. I need to let go of it. I will take it back on when I am capable. But right now, I need you to keep this. Rolled over.
And until this very moment, has that come back up?
Other than my therapy appointment today, no. Haven't even thought about it.
You were going to say rolled over and went to sleep?
Yep, just went right to sleep. Can't even tell you if I had a thought after that. I just remember actually saying that, and then the next thing I woke up, the next thing I know, it was morning time.
Wow.
But that's another, again, that goes back to adjusting awareness. Adjusting to change is really about awareness. And when I can be aware of what my body is doing, what I am doing, what I am noticing, what I am feeling, what I'm thinking, I can handle all the change HP wants to throw at me. Because I get to choose. I get to choose what I deal with in the moment, in that particular moment. Whether I want to deal with it or I don't want to deal with it, I can talk to my higher power. I can have that conversation, and we decide together if I need to handle it now, and it's something I need to work on now or not.
Yeah, or if it's something that needs to come back up at a later time.
Yep. And that's giving permission to myself that it's okay to bring it back up. It's okay to let it go for a minute. Just because we let things go, we let go of change, doesn't mean we might not have to approach that subject at a later date.
Well, and I mean, 9 times out of 10, if we're letting go of something because we can't find a resolution or root cause or lesson in it in this moment, 9 times out of 10, we're going to have to reevaluate it. I find that things don't just go away.
It'd be nice, but...
Right. Things that bother me don't just go away. I have an analogy that I use with my son. Tell him we tend to fold them up, fold our issues, our problems, our negativities, and we tend to fold them up as small and tight and nice and little ball or nice little fold as we could possibly make them, and shove them way, way deep down until eventually there's just no more room left to fold and push, and we just have to. But letting go is different than shoving it down.
It is.
Right? There's different ways to do it. There's different things. In one, we're giving it to our higher power and trusting the universe and trusting life and having faith. And in another, we're refusing to deal with it.
So what happens if a change comes up and we're using the tools that we have and we still are struggling with it? What should we do? What do you do?
Well, let's talk about that. I have a perfect one you can help me with, Dawn.
Oh.
My wonderfully, brilliantly, amazing son
Yeah.
leaves July 31st for the Army. It's a change. It's a major change. It's coming. It is inevitable. My son is going to the Army, whether I like it or not, on July 31st. He is gone. I'm having a really, really hard time accepting that. And at this point, it comes up quite often. And as it comes up, I tend to feel some of the feelings. I don't allow myself to really feel it all the way because typically it comes up when I'm around other people, and ugly crying in the moment is just not appropriate. So, right, I feel the feelings, and I acknowledge that I am sad, and I'm not hiding at all. I'm not in denial about how I feel, right? I'm sad that my son is leaving, and I'm extremely proud of him, and I am terrified for him, and I'm terrified for me. I have to give it to my higher power every time I think about it. I know it's coming, but it is one of those changes, right? I can't really accept it until it happens, right?
Agreed. My oldest son moved away, which, God, it's hard to believe. That's been almost 8 months ago. Time flies when you're having fun.
My goodness, I can't believe it's been that long already.
Yeah, it's been 8 months. I think any mom listening to this podcast is going to feel for you. And Dylan moved out 4 years before he actually moved to Texas. And that was hard too. You put Destiny in school, you took her to school, you dropped her off. You felt this maybe a little differently because, right, every kid is different. I don't care what anybody says.
Every kid is different.
Right,
and she's going to school, and he's going to the Army, and she's going to school, and he's going to boot camp, and special ops, and torture training, and yeah, it's a little different.
It is a little different. It is a little different. You have a son going into the Army. You raised a kid that is willing to sacrifice himself for this country.
Oh, not even willing. It's his lifelong dream is to be a military man.
And nowadays, that is not as common as it used to be. Nowadays, it's a choice. I can't imagine. I honestly cannot imagine what your thoughts are. I can't imagine July 31st. However, it doesn't matter whether he's going in the service or he's moving to Texas to get his PhD. When we walk away from those kids, or they walk away from us, we leave them wherever we have to leave them, we're taking a gamble that we might never see them again. And that is a hard pill to swallow as a mom. Doesn't matter what he's doing, what they're doing, where they're going, right? We have been their protectors from day one. Minute one. And to not be able to see them and put your hands on them and your eyes on them and know they're okay, that's hard. That's hard.
Definitely hard.
It's not about what he's doing. It's about the fact that your little boy is starting his life.
It's a hell of a change. And it's terrifying. And it's, right, the feelings are so, I don't even know the right word to use because it's so opposite ends of the spectrum, right? The pride, the absolute amount of pride for him, and yet the absolute horror and terror for him also. It is just two very, very, very opposite extremes all at the same time. And I really think, right, the things that we have mentioned are the keys. Those are the tools to dealing with these changes, whether they are little changes or big changes, right? Whether your kids start in kindergarten or your kids going into the military or they're going to get their PhD. Whether you're getting divorced or buying a house or starting a new job. A change, a birth, a death,
a marriage.
Divorce, marriage, it doesn't, right. It's all change. Acceptance, flexibility, awareness, ability to examine our thoughts, feelings, yes. Those are some major, major keys.
So what is the basis of adjusting to change? We talked about control, but what is the basis of control?
Feeling safe.
Mm-hmm. Or fear.
Right. Change is scary because I don't know what's on the other side of it. I've never been there before. That's why it's a change, because it's something I haven't done before. It's something I haven't experienced. It's something that isn't my day-to-day. It's different. Fear is scary. Different is scary. New is scary. In my child mind, in my dysfunctional brain, in my codependent brain, if I don't know what to expect, then I am not safe. And that is not true. As a child, I taught myself that if I could read people and predict what they were going to do, then I could adjust what I was going to do to therefore keep myself safe. The problem with that is I can never keep myself safe by adjusting who I am and what I do and what I feel. Immediately, by not being true to myself, I'm no longer safe. Change, again, is inevitable. The one thing that you can always rely on is that change will happen. Things will change. Nothing will remain the same. Literally, minute to minute, things change. Seasons, weather, work, everything changes. To say that if I know what comes next, then I'm safe, negates how amazing change is and what things can happen with change.
And you know when you were saying that, what I'm thinking is so contradictory to what most of us do, right? We don't want change to happen. We try to control change. What is so because we're trying to avoid the fear and trying to feel safe. But where safety comes is just knowing everything's going to change. And if I just become fluid in what is going to happen and what could happen, I'm actually pretty safe because I know that I don't need to worry about what's going to happen next.
Kind of like we were talking about last week, if I become safe within myself, then when change happens, I'm still okay, right? If I have faith in me and my higher power, if I trust myself and my higher power, if I believe in me and my higher power, then I know I'm safe no matter what. I have faith, I trust, and I believe in. It doesn't matter what happens outside of me or outside of my higher power. If I have faith in me and my higher power, I trust in me and my higher power, and I believe in me and my higher power, then no matter what happens outside of us, I am okay. But I have to have those three things, right? Without self-confidence, without integrity, without honesty, I can't have those. I can't be safe with me. I can't trust myself or my higher power.
Change has given me so many gifts in life. And until recently, I couldn't appreciate them. And I say recently and being in the last few years. Right? Just because I've been in the program for 5 years doesn't mean the switch was flipped and day one, all of a sudden I was, I'm not, I'm good. Right? It took me a good amount of time to get to a point where I could be self-aware. But now change is exciting because change is no longer has this negative connotation in my life. I think by rewording the way I talk about change was the first step in me breaking the old thought patterns around change.
I'm trying to think of a change that has happened in my life that has truly been negative, right? Like in the moment, it felt negative. There's plenty that felt negative in the moment. There's plenty of changes that I struggled to get through. There's plenty of changes that I just thought were just going to destroy, right? Catastrophic. But hindsight is 20/20, and my survival rate so far is 100%. So if I look back on all of those changes, even the ones that I fought tooth and nail and I thought were the worst things ever, death, divorce, there's not a one of them that I can look back on and say it was a horrible change and it never should have happened.
Definitely agree with that. Definitely agree with that. I can't even look at my life anymore. Like to look back over my life and say I would change anything in my life. Because without all of that stuff and the changes that have happened, and I'm grateful for all of that, because without it, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't be sitting here with you. So change has brought me more than I could have ever imagined. And that's what excites me about change, because I started seeing patterns change, for lack of a better word. I saw old patterns start to change, and that gave me hope. And so now, when I think about change, I have hope that I'm going to learn something from whatever happens. Bad or good, I'm going to learn something. And that excites me, because now that gives me a new perspective to look at my life and continue to evolve and do things differently.
Every single time I go through a change, I level up. Even if that is like the smallest, tiniest little change that I didn't even have to struggle through. It just happened and I went through. I just started a new job and I'm excited about it and I'm happy about it. I leveled up there. I learned something. I grew from that experience. Right down to a change that I fought tooth and nail, like my daughter quitting college. I leveled up with that experience. I learned something new from it. And so with every change, I have leveled up.
So what if you had to tell someone, if a listener said, hey, Ashley, what is the first step I need to take to start adjusting to change? What would you say?
Accept that I am powerless over change and have faith that a power greater than myself will provide for me. Acceptance and faith. I think that's it. Acceptance and faith.
And then taking it, and this is just something that I think we need to do in every aspect of our lives, not just around change, is just understanding how our bodies feel. So awareness is knowing, being aware of yourself. For example, you and I both could verbally walk through what our bodies do when we're angry. Mm-hmm. That took a lot of time and awareness on our part to be able to do that.
And practice.
Forgiving
catching
yourself.
It, noticing it.
If you slip, forgive yourself.
And just be flexible. Go with the flow. I can say it in so many different ways. Go with the flow. Live life on life's terms. It is what it is.
Be fluid, blah, blah. Yeah.
It really comes down to acceptance. Just, I can't change it. I have faith that it'll be okay and it'll be worth it in the end. Mm-hmm. Whatever it is, have faith it will be worth it in the end. Yep.
And I would challenge our listeners to do what you said earlier about looking back over our lives. And I was doing that when you said it. I was looking back at my life, and I agree with you. There's no change in my life that I regret. Like, I don't regret any of them. And I would challenge our listeners to do that. Look at your life. And is there any change that you would want to do?
That you wish hadn't happened, right? That I wish I could change, that a change that I wish I could undo that change, or a change that it's done, it's over, I've accepted it, and I still look back on it and go, dang, I wish that never happened. Because I can't think of one, right? When I divorced my ex-husband, it was hard. It was sad. It was traumatizing. But it was a good change. Even deaths and losses and jobs, and even when Nick and I split up, when we got back, it's not easy. There's a lot of change that it was hard in the moment, but looking back on it, it was always worth it. It's always worth it.
Well, Ashley,
that's all I got tonight.
Yeah, that is. So, thank you to the listener that suggested this topic. I loved this topic. This was a good one. Please, listeners, everyone, please send in your topics. It's kind of nice to not have to come up with one. And if nobody's figured out, Ashley and I can probably pretty much talk about anything because we just like to talk when we get together. So,
yeah, I could talk for hours.
Me too. So please send in your topic ideas. Check out the website at workitYouAreWorthIt.com. Check out previous podcasts. New podcasts come out every Tuesday. We have had amazing success so far to date with the podcast. We've been out 3 months and a week. And
Wow.
yeah, and we've had great success. And that is all to you as listeners. So thank you for that. And Ashley?
Yeah, thanks everybody. I look forward to sharing with you all every week, and I love the topics and the questions, and I just look forward to this. I can't put into words how much I enjoy doing this every week.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
All right, everyone.
All right.
Have an amazing week. Until next week.
Have a great week. Bye.
Bye.
We would like to thank you for joining us on this journey of self-discovery. Visit the Work It website at workitYouAreWorthIt.com to submit your questions and topics for future episodes. And remember, work it because you are worth it.